Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Multifamily Elevated. I'm your host, Suzanne Hopson, and again, excited to have our latest guest. And I'm not going to tell you all about him. I'm going to have him tell you about himself, what he does, and what he's up to. But I will tell you, we've already had a pre conversation that's been fantastic. So, Nick Gonzalez, I would love you to tell our audience who you are, what you do, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you for having me. And we did have a great conversation. I feel like we could have probably recorded that and had lots to use. But yeah, really appreciate you having me on your podcast. And yeah, I'm Nick Gonzalez. I am a commercial real estate broker, brokerage owner, investment fund manager, and investor. I have extensive multifamily experience as well as general investment property experience, and I wear a lot of hats day to day between brokering deals, investing in deals, and helping run the brokerage and our team here. I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is about an hour north of Charlotte, which is an absolutely fantastic place to be in North Carolina, third fastest growing state. So just tons of positive momentum. And I've been in the industry about as long as I've been investing, which is about 16 years now. So
Nice, Nick.
I can
Well,
I
thank
can I
you.
can give you my whole life story, but that's the high level.
No, that's awesome. And obviously, our listeners are a good mix of people from prop tech and the investment and brokerage side, as well as operations. And you have really been playing in all of those areas. Prop tech probably by fault, but all of it in your wheelhouse. So anxious to jump in. You have spent, you said 18 years doing what you've been doing, and there's been quite a variety. But as you look back, what are some of the experiences that you've had that really have lent to how you lead today?
Everybody's journey is pretty different, and I did think a lot about like what were some of the defining like moments and transactions and relationships. I mean, it is a relationship business, and I think the brokers that don't make it or that don't have the longevity that they wish they did take that for granted. So I think I was very lucky to always have really, really great mentors, and I'm a big believer in find someone who is willing to teach you, who is probably like too busy for their own good at that point in time, and just give and give and give value. And if you find the right person, you're going to get that all back, tenfold. I had a really great mentor. My very first mentor I found on Zillow. I had just I had just gotten like my first hard money loan, and I knew I wanted to buy a rental property, a rent house. But I knew I wanted to buy it from a broker who was experienced in dealing with investors. And I was young. I mean, I think I was 20 yeah, or I was 20 at the time, and I didn't really know where to start. So I just went on Zillow and was like, okay, who has duplexes listed, triplexes, like small little apartment complexes listed? Because that broker is probably going to be different than the broker who only has houses for people to live in, not houses for people to rent.
Mm-hmm.
And it really wasn't a super sophisticated like algorithm. It was like, oh, this guy has like 35 multifamily listings. He's probably the guy that I need to work with. So, I had lunch with him originally, again, just wanting to buy my first rental property. And we really, really hit it off. I bought my first rental with him, and I mean, literally at lunch, he was like, you should really look into getting your license because there's no better way to supplement growing your portfolio than to earn brokerage commissions and then immediately reinvest them, which is what he had been doing for 10 years at that point. So he's really the reason I got my real estate license. And, we ended up partnering for about 3 years. We sold probably north of 300 houses together. That's where I got my start, was in distressed property sales, short sales, foreclosure sales between 2010 and 2012. Um, but I was also just really lucky to be able to amass a pretty a significant portfolio of rent houses and apartments during that time too, because every single time I made a commission check, I would go down to the courthouse and buy something, essentially on the courthouse steps, remodel it and rent it. And so that really, really helped. I mean, timing is everything, but obviously that really, really helped as well, having a really great mentor. So I've had three really great mentors throughout my last 16, 17 years. And I think that's really shaped the kind of person I want to be. I feel like I'm maybe sometimes almost like too generous with my time, but I really do think you have to pay it forward. Um, I have helped brokers who have gotten into the business and then they will later exit, like it just wasn't the right fit for them. And those people end up sending me referrals for years afterwards because I'm the
Mhm.
one person that, like, whether they worked with me or not, I feel like, I try to take the time to pay it forward. And that's important. Really, no matter what industry you're in. But yeah, so I think having really great mentors made me a better leader, and made me more of a giver than a taker. And I would say so far it's worked out pretty well for me. So
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah, I think it has. I love that, and I know we talked a great deal about that and being humble enough. What the makeup of entrepreneurs or people that are growing their businesses, whatever the product is, that can be really difficult when you're competing, and it is a relationship business. Obviously, we talked a great deal about that as well. But it's pretty dog eat dog. I will tell you. I've heard operators talk about the whole brokerage side, and when it's a positive experience, it's amazing. It's like a lifetime friendship. I've definitely noticed that.
well,
But when we talked, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I say this all the time, and I probably told it to you on our previous call, but like my two biggest honors, my two biggest professional like honors had nothing to do with like my professional career. So one of them, I was a groomsman at one of my like best clients' weddings for him. So like it's a professional relationship that turned into just a really, really deep, good friendship, and we invest together, and I'm still his broker, but we work on everything together. And then another person, partner of mine, who I only met through brokerage, but I've been working with him for 16 years. I sat next to him at his daughter's wedding, which was kind of like a pinch me kind of like moment, because I'm like, wow, like it's pretty crazy that this is someone I met, 12 years ago in brokerage, but like brokerage is a lifestyle, like you develop these relationships that can turn into friendships and partnerships. And if you're a genuine good person, and you care about the people around you, you can all like be on that growth journey together. Those are like two of my proudest achievements, and they really have nothing to do with commercial real estate. It's just the
Yeah.
relationships that came as a result of it.
That's awesome. And you had said it, and it's true. That you've taken the transactional relationship just the step further, which is incredibly important, especially now. And we went and started to deep dive into. I know we went into leadership and all kinds of good stuff, but we did spend some time on today's situation, like just the market, the temperature, what's happening, what people thought was going to happen, with real estate coming back into the fold. What are you seeing out there? What's exciting right now in the world of real estate from your perspective? What are some of the opportunities you're seeing, and maybe there's surprises?
Yeah, top three, like what's exciting, the Southeast is exciting. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. Yeah, that's my market to some degree, but we're just seeing tremendous growth. And so, even like assets that aren't doing well in other states, they're doing pretty well here just because of all our positive net migration and job growth and population growth. I'm lucky to be in a bit of a high growth market. I would say retail and industrial still feels very exciting. Retail, honestly, like you can't build anywhere right now for less than $300 a foot. So like if you can find strip centers that are in demand, you have built in upside, you have built in appreciation. I think where things are still like a little scary, honestly, like is on the multifamily side, just because
Hmm. Yeah.
everybody thought rates were going to come down faster than they have. Rates really haven't come down as much as people had hoped. And rents, have either stayed flat essentially, or, when they have gone up, they haven't gone up anywhere near in pace with expenses, taxes, insurance. So I have a lot of folks calling me and it's like, yeah, my gross rents have gone up 15%, but my NOI went down 10 because my insurance tripled, my taxes doubled, and XYZ. So there's still so many really, really great places to invest, and there's great deals in multifamily still. It's just not what it was in 21, 22, 23. Um, it is surprising we have not. I keep hearing about this fabled wall of like delinquencies that's going to be coming down the pipe, and like I hear the same story every year. I have not seen. I mean, I lived through the wave of foreclosures in 2009, 2010. I mean, I
Hmm.
bought rent houses for $1,500. Like I was there when the bottom fell out, and I keep hearing of all these distressed assets that are going to be coming back online, and I have not seen hardly any of them. But yeah, I think now is the time more than ever to be underwriting pretty conservatively. But I'm very excited. Like retail has, there's a lot of good opportunities in retail right now.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing the same thing with some people I was talking to this morning. But you're right. There was this hope, I think, for some that the opportunity to have some of these distressed properties come back on the market. People were sort of waiting for that, to come in, swoop in, and take over, and that hasn't happened. But we talked about operations, which again, I think um, plays an even more important role long term on how a property is going to produce, right? And so, what do you think that operators should be really concerned with right now in terms of tightening the ship? Like, what are you seeing as the same old poor operations, and then what are some of the great operators doing that are setting them apart?
Well, you have to be present. You have to be involved. So I think a lot of folks got away uh, for a very long time. A lot of folks got away with kind of just like hands off. I'll leave it to the property manager, and I'll kind of just coast. And honestly, multifamily right now is a little bit like office, like the office that's tired and doesn't have amenities and isn't really like super desirable. I mean, if you have a low enough basis, you'll make a good return, but it's not going to do anything super exciting for you. The office, like, I'll come back to multifamily in a second, but like with office, I heard someone say, like business owners used to get to pick office space, and now it's the employees that pick. So like if you're not in a cool building, you're going to lose talent to the cool
Mm.
building or to like a different city, right? Like someone graduates from college and they're like interviewing in different cities. Like again, how cool your HQ is going to determine your ability to attract and retain really good talent. The exact same is true in apartments, right? Like if you have a class A nice apartment complex, you better run that thing like a class A nice apartment complex, and you better have some amenities, and you should have like a responsive, engaged property manager that's helping you get those 5-star reviews that help you get more tenants, right? And if you have a B or C complex, like, you know, you got to put in the effort. Um, and so I think, again, it was easy to make the easy money when it was easy. And now it's hard even to make the easy money. And absentee owners just are the ones paying, I think, the price for that. So again, like amenities might not necessarily get you more in rent sometimes, but they'll help you attract new tenants. They'll help you retain your tenants. Um, and your amenities can be profit centers. Like you can negotiate master license agreements for internet, for cable, and in most states you can bill that back to the tenants. So like in our
Mhm.
state, we've got tenants who pay 70, 80, $90 a month for internet and cable. And if you pre-negotiate 100 contracts, you can get it for like 21 bucks a month. So all of a sudden, like you're telling the tenant, hey, I'll save you $30, I'll make 30, and it's a win-win for everyone. Um, but again, like that's still, you're still doing better than the next person. So, again, I think you need to be involved and you need to be realistic. I mean, I've sold thousands of apartments, and I walk through complexes where it's like you have to care. I had a guy that it's been long enough now, so I can out him. But we toured one of his apartments, and I kept staring at the carpet. I was like, man, like what is going on with this carpet? And I asked him, I was like, man, like what's up with this with the carpet you used here? He goes, well, I don't use pad. I use the old carpet as the pad for the new carpet because you could feel it. I mean, it felt weird. I'm walking on it. I'm like, man, if I'm a tenant, like this is the first thing I'm going to notice. And then he said, yeah. And he's like, does that carpet remind you of anything? And I go, yeah, yeah. I don't know what, but yeah, it reminds me of something. What is it? And he goes, no, I bought all the carpet out of a movie theater that was getting torn down, and I reused it in all the apartments. I got it for like two cents a square foot. He's like, isn't that a great deal? And I'm like, no, like you're the last person everyone's going to settle for, because you're either going to be the cheapest or you're going to take, like, I want to be the, like, if you give people pride of ownership, 8 out of 10 times they will return the favor. Like if you give someone an apartment and it looks like you don't care, then they're not going to care. If you give them an apartment and it seems like you cared, yes, 20% of the time they're going to wreck it anyway. But 80% of the time they're going to treat it with respect because you treated it with respect. Um, but again, there's a huge difference between first time operators and people who have been doing it for 10 years and everything in between. So some of this stuff is easier said than done, but you got to care.
Yeah, I think we talked about mediocre too. Like the just being, mediocre is not going to work. You're not going to be able to compete anymore. You've got to set yourself apart. And so, yeah, I thought about our conversation and just, some of the things that you were saying. That is a story. I've not heard of anyone doing that. I mean, okay, the movie theater, that's just an extra little oddity, but carpet under carpet. And I've been doing this for a really, really long time. That's awful. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Well, some people will try to get away with it, right? They'll do the cheapest way out.
I
Um,
will. I will admit, in college, I had futon on futon, so I didn't. There was like a sale. There was a sale on
yeah,
futons, so I didn't want a box spring. So I had futon on futon, but it wasn't carpet on carpet.
I've heard of the futon on futon, so I think that's okay. And a lot of things happen in college that they stay there, right? It's like the Vegas
Yeah,
conversation. We
yeah,
just, yeah, totally. Funny.
absolutely.
Futon on futon. I'm
Mhm.
going to remember that. Yeah, so you've seen plenty of deals, obviously, that have worked, and you've seen a lot behind the curtain of what you do, and plenty of the surprises that go along with that. But was there any moment that truly humbled you and changed the way that you evaluate people, risk? Was there any like aha? And I know we talked about this a little bit just now, but where you went, wow, I just never want to do that, or I'm not going to go in that direction. This has been such, this is charting my course or making it clear where I want to go and what I want to do, whether in leadership or in the job itself.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things over the years that I've really come to appreciate. I would say, the way you treat people just like sets the precedent for everything to follow. So there's definitely assignments I've turned down, and there's people that like I just won't work with again because I have like a certain expectation of like how I want to be talked to and treated, and like I demand like a certain amount of respect, and I treat everybody that way too, right? Like I can really dislike you but still be like a decent human being to you. Like, there's ways to deal with people where you're still giving them like respect and dignity. And unfortunately, in commercial real estate and in multifamily and everything, like, yeah, there's like all these different personality types, and you're not always going to get along with everyone. Like people who are in private equity have like kind of a vibe and a reputation, and like it can be a lot. But I would say, yeah, like some general takeaways over the years, or like aha moments, like really, if you do a good enough job being genuine and treating people the right way, it just buys you so much goodwill in the long run. Like I genuinely think I have not really had many investments go sideways or go wrong, but even the ones that did turn out like mediocre, nobody that was involved with me was like, they're like, Nick did absolutely everything he could to make this go well. And, instead of making 20%, I made 7. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But had we lost money or had something gone bad, I like to always think, hey, like I want to make sure I don't leave any room for doubt, that like I did everything right. I did everything I could, XYZ. Um, it's again, it's a business of relationships. And so if you treat people the way you want to be treated, it's usually going to come back, and come back the way you want it to. I'm hesitant to say too, like I always like to give more than what's expected. So one of my side projects is, or one of my side businesses, I do some hard money lending as well. um, and like we had a disagreement with a borrower who, it was like the very first time we'd done a hard money loan with him, and it was like we just used standard paperwork that's like a 360-day year, right? And like this is just what banks do. Everybody does a 360-day year. I hadn't even thought about it. And so we get to the closing table, and they're kind of like busting my chops over $250, because if it was a 365-day year, it would have been a couple $100 less. And I'm getting emails from them where it's like, hey, are you ripping me off? Oh, and I'm like, dude, it's fine. Like, first of all, I hadn't even thought about this. Like, you're right. There are 365. I don't know why it's 360. I mean, I know why, but like, you bring up a good point. So again, like, I could have been right, or I could have just given them $250. I gave them $250. But like, again, it's just one small example where it's like, do I want to win, or do I want to just do what feels right? Like me and my business partner Aubrey, all the time we say that, we say, hey, like I know what the contract says, right? I know what we said, but like, does it still feel right? And if the answer is yes, then that's what we do. And if the answer is no, it doesn't matter what we put on paper. Like, hey, well, what does feel right? 9 times out of 10, if you treat people that way, if you say, hey, listen, like I know what it says on the paper, but does it feel right? um Most of the time you'll come out okay, and 1 out of 10 times someone will take advantage of you, but then you just never do business with them again. I'll give you a quick side story of
Yeah.
does it feel right? Probably, probably like 5 years into commercial brokerage, I had a really, really challenging assignment. I had 8 office buildings that were C minus office, um, you know, suburban, tired, like 60s, 70s type product.
Mm.
Really, really tough stuff. I mean, I probably had 220,000 square feet to fill. So it was a great assignment, but it was an extremely challenging one. And over the course of about a year, I think I'd signed like 3 leases, and they were nothing exciting. I mean, they were small transactions. When
Mm.
I had very first listed these properties, I stood with the owner in the lobby of one of the buildings, and he said, "Hey Nick, I forgot to put this in the listing agreement, but if National General, our tenant, expands, is it okay if I just pay you like a 2% renewal fee?" And I'm standing, again, like I'm still kind of new in the bit. I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Just let me know if they ever expand. Great, whatever." So a year goes by. I work super hard on this listing. I mean, I didn't really make this guy a whole lot of money. I've made him a lot of money since, but that's besides the point. So about a year goes by, and he calls me, and I'm driving down the road, and he goes, "Hey Nick, I don't want to bother you with this, but National General, they did end up expanding. And the reason I want to call you is like I did all the work. I know we stood there, we shook. And by the way, I'd already forgotten about this. He's like, we stood there and we shook on it. I was going to pay 2% on them, but man, I got to be honest with you, like it doesn't really feel fair. Like, but I'm a person of my word." And his name was Clarence, great guy. I go, "Clarence," I go, what feels right? I was like, if 0 feels right, then don't pay me anything. If obviously 2% doesn't feel right, so don't pay me 2%. Just pay me whatever you want to pay me. And he's like, "Well, what about 1% on a renewal?" I go, Clarence, great. If 1% feels right to you, I was like, to my defense, I've marketed your properties, I've paid for advertising, I've done blasts, I've done broker open houses. So if 1% feels right to you, great. 1% feels right to me. And if it doesn't, tell me. He goes, no, 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 we're good. We're good. I'll get it taken care of tomorrow. He goes, but wait, don't you want to know how much the commission is? And I was like, no, because like if you're happy, I'm happy. It could be $1, it could be, I don't care. It was $120,000 commission. So, but he was smart because I mean, I have moved mountains for him since. Like that's the other thing. If you pay it forward, like in a lot of ways, and in a very very good way, I'm in debt to this guy for the rest of my life. I mean, like that
Yeah.
is, you're like I'm always going to prioritize his needs over
Mhm.
anyone else's, because he's a giver and I'm a giver, and he did what felt right to him in the moment, and I'm always going to try to reciprocate that too. But yeah, that was one. I that was not one of the stories I had thought about, but it kind of popped back into my head as you were uh, kind of bringing some of those out of me. Yeah, that was a fun memory for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's wow. And now, you're still in relationship with him, which is really cool.
Yeah,
It's just
and
testimony further to, well, to how you do business and who you are as a person. And you're absolutely right. When you've been in this now for so long, you can see who survived. And yes, you can survive and you can even do well, but to really be great in this and to have the lasting relationships, to have the whole thing, which is really a great life with great relationships and fellowship and all the things, you have to do the right thing. There's just no way around it.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people can sell, but to have those relationships that go on for 5, 10 years, like I mean, I have clients I've done over 100 transactions with. Like that's, again, you have to really like live, breathe, eat and sleep it, and you can't fake caring. Like you just have to care. And I don't do business with the kind, like, again, I have a very specific personality type, and like I do business with people that I really enjoy doing business with, um and it's worked out pretty well. But that also just comes with being like your genuine self as much as you
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. And I know we talked about, back to the beginning of our conversation, mentorship and peer groups and, the ability to be able to be with other people that will tell you what they think too is also really important to give you good feedback and, get in your face a little bit and say, hey, you know what, you're going in the wrong direction. And you trust that they still have your interests, your best interests at heart. Are you thinking about anybody in particular that kind of pressed the buttons for you, like pushed you in any direction, or were you just a really good listener and watched them and modeled after them? Because I know for me, it's been the one that's been sort of like the Jocko. Like I like the Jocko type, in your face, like, hey, you know what? This is what's going wrong. I'm not going to pull any punches. But how do you manage, and how are some of the people in your life that have managed you? Like what appeals to you? What do you like?
Well, I tell like newer brokers, there's no greater form of flattery than asking someone for advice or asking someone for feedback, because you're also in turn like praising them in reverse almost. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, I mean, I think like always asking questions and like soliciting feedback and asking for advice and asking for expertise and knowledge is really important. And I think like the second you start to achieve any sort of degree of success in whatever your specific, like, okay, if you're brokering multifamily deals, or if you're investing in multifamily deals, or if you just closed your third apartment complex as an owner, or whatever it is you're doing, try to find like two people who are one step like behind you, and find two or three people that are one step ahead of you. I've been in a lot of peer groups, and like it's just worth its weight in gold. So like people avoid those kinds of activities because of ego and because of territoriality. And the second that it clicks for you that like the size of this pie that we're all like taking bites out of, the pie is infinite. So, I just got back on Sunday from a peer group that I'm in. We do a trip every year. This was the fourth year, and it's two other brokerages. And we do a trip with their owners, with me and my partner. and the owners of the third one, and we just compare notes. We compare P&Ls. We compare systems and processes. Hey, like, what challenges are you dealing with? What technology are you using? How did you guys structure this investment deal? I mean, we really, like, there's no territoriality, because the chances of our overlap are low. But even if we do overlap, we know everyone's just going to do the right thing. Like, we're not out, but that's rare. Again, like, ego,
Mm.
the number one killer in a brokerage, in my opinion, is ego and territoriality and like possessiveness. When I get brokers who come to me and complain about their shops, and they're like, "Oh, the partners hog all the clients." Like, I'll build some new relationship with a new client, and I'll come in all excited and tell one of the partners about it. And he says, "Oh, I play golf with Jimmy. Like, we'll work on that together." And all of a sudden, you're like deflated because you thought you won a new customer, and you didn't. But yeah, I would say, like, the second you can get into like some sort of peer group, investment group, like somewhere where there's someone, you're going to learn from people. So I've been doing brokers for 16 years. I learned just as much from the brokers who are like 1 year in, because I'm not naive enough to think that like the way I was doing it. Sorry, there's a fly in here. I'm not naive enough to think that the way I was doing it is still the best way to have done it. So like, I learn as much from the new people as I do from the people who are 10, 15 years ahead of me. Because, by the way, take everything they say with a grain of salt too. Like, what worked for them when they were at the stage that I'm in my career now, when they were in it, it's just not the same. So like, you just have to collate all of this feedback and information, and then do the best you can with it. But there's nothing worse than thinking you have it figured out, because you don't. And like, there's mistake, like, learn from every mistake is a learning opportunity. But the second you think you start to have it figured out, something nasty is going to happen, and it's going to surprise you. Unfortunately, it has been
Yeah.
my experience.
Yeah. I just did a recording this morning, and part of it was all about the ego conversation, and are you trainable? Can you learn, or are you a blamer? Like, getting into trying to move something forward with someone who, you can't both fit in the same room because of how big their head is. It's just, yeah, everything stops or slows down, and whatever you're trying to accomplish is not going to happen. So, yeah, totally get it. And by the way, I'm jealous that you have flies, because it's so cold where I'm at. We have no flies. So I just wanted to finish that one up
Yeah.
because, yeah, there's a little
There,
bit of
there
jealousy
is
there.
there is nothing worse than a blamer.
Nothing.
It is
Nothing.
the worst. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and again, like, commercial brokerage, at least, like, it is a very, um the people that aren't going to be great in brokerage, like, they filter out on their
Mhm.
own. Like, it is a very, the folks that aren't going to make it don't make it quick, and they filter out. Um, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You need to have a good mix of people on your team that are genuine, and don't have big egos, for sure.
Yeah. There's this whole thing about filtering through core values, and really standing true to that when you hire and when you fire. And I thought that was all very theoretical until I met some people that were using business operating systems, EOS specifically. And then, we talked about Vistage and EO and YPO, and then those groups that really hit it all home for that. And I saw it actually, and saw it verified. I was like, oh, they do that. They actually do hire and fire by their core values. I just saw it. And it was really validating. There's a lot of times, I'll work with companies where they don't even know their core values anymore. They can't recite them. And these are the top leaders. And they really are just pasted on the wall. So I seek out and enjoy people who
We
have the
we
same core
literally have
value.
ours. I mean, we have a wall with all of the core values on it. So like, you walk into our office and you see that. And I forget who said this. It's in a book, but it was like, you define your culture by like who you vote, like who you keep and who you vote off the island.
Mhm.
And this does a lot. I mean, we've said a lot. Like, it stinks, but when you let someone go, it also projects that message to everyone else on the team. Because, again, like, there's nothing worse than and we've lived it. I mean, the resentment that builds when they're like, well, why are they, if they see
Mhm.
that you're letting someone get away with a behavior or attitudes that like aren't aligned with your values, you're sending a message to the team members that is not the kind of message you want to be sending for sure.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Well, here's another fun question for you. And I always ask that of my guests. And it's really about your favorite book and why. We're all big studies around here. We all love the books. And there's some really great stuff on the market and some oldies but goodies. So tell me a little bit about what your faves are and why.
Well, that's funny. I just read Sapiens like in December, and I got a lot of flack for that because it's like um I guess there's some valid criticisms of that book. I don't know. Have you read Sapiens?
No, I have not. Mm-mm.
It's kind of like one of those unfairly. I mean, I listened to like a 2 hour podcast, like basically just criticizing the book, and I would say there are valid criticisms of it. But I think it's kind of gotten lumped into this category of like bro books that like a finance guy would read, and I'm like, well, I kind of liked it. Now I feel bad. But I did genuinely enjoy, like I did genuinely enjoy Sapiens. It was a great book. But I would say probably my favorite is Give and Take by Adam Grant. I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to go to the Welcome Conference in New York City with
Mm.
two of my business partners. It's hosted by Will. I don't know how you say his last name. He's the Unreasonable Hospitality author, which was also like an unbelievably influential book. And Adam Grant did a presentation there. But yeah, Give and Take is all about the psychology of givers, takers, and matchers. And essentially, like the most successful and the least successful people are givers. And the least successful are the ones who just allow themselves to get taken advantage of over and over and over again. And the most successful ones are givers with boundaries, essentially. And reading that book, it really, really clicked for me because that's very much my personality type. And I've been on both ends of that spectrum where I've given and gotten it back tenfold, and where I've given and just gotten taken advantage of. And so it's a great, easy read. There's probably 300 like quoted studies and like case studies and things in there. It's a great, great, great book. And yeah, if you haven't read Unreasonable Hospitality, I mean, I think I've read it like 3 times now. It's just
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's a staple. It's
Yeah.
a staple for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say those two are like up there in terms of gifted books. I was gifted a book called Mr. Schmooze, which I wouldn't say is like necessarily a fantastic, like it wouldn't be my first, but like I got it and was like, wow, what an odd, like you get like rich dad, poor dad, or
Yeah,
like,
right. Right.
outliers, or like, I mean, like, I'm like, I hadn't even heard of this book, Mr. Schmooze. And I don't know if you've heard of it or read it, but it's
No, this is new to
essentially,
me.
yeah, so he used like a pen name, but it's written by a guy who basically followed around like like a commercial real estate deal maker for a summer. So it was like, oh yeah, like my dad hooked me up with this guy that like I basically just got to shadow him for a summer, and it's his take on Mr. Schmooze, which is like essentially just a guy who's friends with everyone, connects people, is like a master networker, and just does deals all day. But he's not doing deals in a transactional way. He's doing them in a relationship based way. And it's kind of, I mean, it's a fun, easy, breezy read that is probably a really fun gift to give someone because they're gonna think you're giving them like, they're thinking they're unwrapping like some bestseller, and instead they get a book called Mr. Schmooze. But it's great. It's a great book.
I love
In
this.
fact, I think it was Bo Berry I think it was Bo
Right.
Berry who either gifted it or recommended it to me. This was years ago, and he's a great follow on LinkedIn. He does a lot of multifamily brokerage and like mobile home parks in Florida. Bo Berry, great guy.
Bowberry. Amazing.
That's what a book gets you. A book gets you a shout out 10 years later on a whim. On Yeah, that's what a
And a
book gets you.
podcast.
Yeah.
Plus, I'll follow up now. And
Yeah.
I'll reach out to him and I'll mention the book probably. Yeah, no, that's great. One last fun question, and then man, we've been talking for a while now. It's going over our time a little bit, but I can't help. I've got to ask you about your pet peeves. What
Yeah.
really gets you?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. It's a long list. I am a little bit of like a my wife says I'm very like very Larry David-esque sometimes with like the things that really like annoy me are sometimes a little um I would say like my personality type is typically not very compatible with like the engineer personality type. Like I'm a big believer, like I'll meet people at their level. I'll go out of my way to meet people at their level. And again, like whether or not I enjoy working with you or whether or not we have chemistry or whether or not we click, like that's fine, but I'm not going to take it out on you then. I'm going to make the choice to say, hey, we didn't really have chemistry. Like we weren't really a good fit for each other. Like we don't have to work together again. You know, like that's fine. But I don't like it when people really like are inflexible, like they can't meet you at your level, they can't like put aside their differences. I, I guess rigidity is a big pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess like that's maybe like a personal assault on some people. So I'll give you like a more funny little pet peeve. So the funny little pet peeve of mine would be it makes my blood boil when it could have been a text. Like I'm a big fan of a phone call. Like I think phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's the lifeblood of our business. But I get a lot of phone calls that are like, "Hey, are we still good for our coffee at 10?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it everything that's good? That's it? Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I just want to make sure we're still good for our coffee at 10. We're good. I'll see you at 10. Great. You know, see you for coffee at 10. Bye. And it's like, okay, that could have been a text. So again, like I'm not anti phone call, but if it could have been a text with like a thumbs up emoji, that is a big pet peeve for me. And I get like two or three of those a day. So
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you got to keep the smile on your face. Yeah.
uh,
For my generation, it's, that could have been an email.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have our communication preferences, right? So, well, I know that part of our audience is probably going to want to get a hold of you to just talk about real estate in general. So, how do they get a hold of you, Nick? What's the best way for them to reach you and to chat?
Honestly, LinkedIn and our website. So Nick Gonzalez, CCIM on LinkedIn. That's a great way to reach me. I think periodically I also post like my calendar on there. I do calls with investors periodically that they just book through LinkedIn when they want to learn more about what we have going on or learn more about our investment fund. And then all my contact info is on my company's website too. My company is Linville Team Partners. I'm sure it'll probably be linked somewhere. But yeah, I again love connecting with people. Um, folks that are looking to invest in the Southeast would love to connect with. And I'm pretty reachable. I'm pretty visible, and I'm very active on LinkedIn. So yeah, if anybody wants to reach me, I'm reachable for sure.
By text. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
I text.
Nick,
Don't you dare call me. Just text me. Yeah,
so good. Now, Nick, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll have to have you back just to see what's
yeah.
happening.
Thank you, and I will tell you, you are awesome. So great job, great podcast. I've gone through and watched several, and listened to a couple. So great job. I was really excited for this, and I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you for that, Nick. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Okay. Thanks,
great.
everybody.